大家好，早晨，我係City Smart 成進嘅 Irene。咁我今日咧而家好高興咧，就喺澳洲QUT 佢哋個 Kelvin Grove Campus 嗰度。咁呢度咧就係Faculty of Health。咁我今日亦都係邀請到Dr. Philippe Lacherez。咁佢咧就係會講解釋一啲關於咧嗰個 Bachelor of Behavioural Science Psychology 呢個 course 嘅。Good morning, welcome Philippe. Yeah, nice to have you here to explain a bit about the course to our students and parents in Hong Kong. Yeah, nice to meet you. Okay, Philippe, I just want to ask, what does the psychology cover and like how to become a registered psychologist in Australia?
Okay. Well, psychology broadly covers a whole range of different disciplines that cover everything to do with the mind and how we think. So anything to do with human thoughts and how they might determine our behaviour in all different kinds of situations.
Okay.
So people with an undergraduate degree in behavioural science or psychology might work in a whole lot of different occupations where they might want to look at people's behaviour and what causes people to behave in different kinds of ways. The science of psychology is one thing, and that can be used in a whole lot of different kinds of professions, and that's what you get from an undergraduate program. The profession of psychology, and the title of psychologist is something different, because that refers to just a few jobs where people might want to work exclusively applying psychological knowledge in particular areas. The main ones are clinical psychology, which is where you'd be working with people with different kinds of mental disorders. Things like organisational psychology, where people apply psychological skills in a workplace, in a business environment, for instance, to look at are there different ways of looking at people's behaviour so that you can improve their productivity, or looking at selection, recruitment, those kinds of things. We've got child psychologists who work in education, in schools, that sort of thing, structuring educational programs for people with disabilities, or to help, exceptionally gifted students and those kinds of things. There are also sports psychologists, forensic psychologists, so there's a couple of little areas. The vast majority of people who complete a psychology degree will never go on to work in one of those specific psychology areas, but instead will go out and work in other different kinds of areas applying their psychological skills. To get to one of the professions where you call yourself a psychologist, you actually have to do 3 different degrees. You need to do the undergraduate degree, and then an honours degree, and then you have to do a master's degree in order to get the full qualification as a psychologist.
So this is the distinctive features of the psychology course. Do you mean that?
So that's in terms of how to become a registered psychologist, or how to reach professional accreditation. You need to have those 3 levels of.
Does it mean that a psychologist can read other people's minds?
No. I'm very glad, actually, I can't read people's minds.
If your answer is yes, I'm scared.
I'm not sure I want to know.
Okay. Are there any sort of a placement arrangement embedded in the course, in this course, for students?
Not embedded. We do have an elective unit where students can go out on a placement, usually in a community setting. So we've got a number of different community partners where people can go out and work in social work, or in disability services, or child and youth, different kinds of services. And what the students can do is, I think it's about 50 hours where they'll go out work in the placement, doing whatever's required, which might be working on a little bit of an intervention or something, or working on a report for a client, and students get to experience a little bit of some psychologically related service.
So if students prefer to choose the placement choose this option? I mean, like, is this placement organized by QUT or the student? Is it guaranteed?
Currently,
guaranteed placement?
So there is a little bit of an enrolment cap, but in fact, until now, we've never actually exceeded that enrolment cap. So we've been able to cater for everybody who wanted to do it, and yeah, QUT organised the placements.
So what's the selection criteria for the student? Is there an interview or any exam, like any test that the student need to
No,
do?
we like students to leave it until about the last year of their degree, because we like to have people who are who've demonstrated that they can be fairly responsible and are able to present themselves well. But other than that, there are no firm criteria.
Another important questions that I think like students or parents may want to know. What is the successful rates for students doing this course, and any sort of academic support services for international students? You know, international students, they come from a foreign country to Australia to do the studies, so they would really love to know more about this area.
Areas. So in terms of our success rate, we've generally found that students are able to get through the degree just fine. We actually tend to, by the time we get to second or third year, we actually have relatively low attrition rates. What does tend to happen is the students will sometimes change from, they might start with a single degree and then move into a double degree and change their mind. And that's the main movement that we get. And so most students actually do get through their degree just fine. QUT do offer a huge range of services, largely through the Student Success Group, so that you can have help with academic writing, which I know is always an issue for international students. There does tend to be in our programs a fair amount of statistics and research methodology, and so there's also support available for that as well. And we can, there are different tiers of service that can be available according to what the particular needs of the student are.
Then how about professional recognition?
So all of our programs are officially accredited by APAC, which is the accrediting body for psychology in Australia. And so that means that this undergrad degree represents a recognised first stage of that progression to being an accredited psychologist. In addition, our honours program is also APAC accredited, and our master's program is also APAC accredited. And so doing those three in sequence, you would actually be eligible for full registration as a psychologist.
Do you mean that if students successfully complete the course, they will be eligible for those professional organizations, the membership, that sort of things, right?
That's correct. And so it's important to recognise that in order to get into the honours program, it's highly competitive, and so it's only really the top students who will be able to get into the honours program. And then again, from the honours to the master's program, again, it's only really the very top
they
students.
Already been tested, like from time to time.
Yeah, and then that tends to be a sort of a moving threshold. So there isn't a definite GPA that you can acquire that would guarantee you a place in honours, but it's more just the very top students from each year would be able to move through.
Okay. So you talk about to apply for the honours program. When normally will be the best time for the student that you suggest them to apply for the honours?
Around September or October, but I think it slightly changes, but it's usually around September or October in their final year is when they can apply for that.
Okay. So how about the career outcomes of the students who finish the Bachelor of Behavioural Science Psychology? What will the graduates do, and what normally will be their workplace?
So as I say, a lot of people are aiming to move on to further study. So a lot of people will go on either to an honours or to a different kind of program. So some people go on to other kinds of study altogether. So popular other destinations for study after the undergraduate degree, other than the honours, are things like counselling. A lot of people might think about moving to something like a counselling master's program or something like that. Some people go into things like occupational therapy and even speech therapy and other kinds of disciplines like that. social work, community services. So there's a whole host of different things. The students who leave and straight after their undergraduate degree and don't go on to any further study seem to have actually found work in lots of different kinds of areas. So we have people who've gone on to work in government in all sorts of different kinds of areas, like in community services, family, things like drug and alcohol outreach kind of areas, all kinds of social work. We even have people who've gone into marketing sorts of things and areas like that.
That's good. As like for Hong Kong DSE students, I would like to mention a little bit about the entry requirement, the academic requirement, as well as the English requirement. With the academic requirement, DSE students, you need 16 points or above. We take look at the best 5 subjects is like core subjects in category A and C, and then we take minimum level 2 as a pass. With the English, it's level 5 overall, and then those results is within 2 years before you start the study at QUT. So today we're very happy to have you, Philippe, to talk about the course to our potential students and parents in Hong Kong. If you get any further questions which we do not cover today, please let us know. Contact our colleagues in Hong Kong or in Australia so that we can invite Philippe to come again and then explain to you any further questions. Okay, thank you, Philippe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.